What is up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode and show here, really, for Tuffy Talk. And we are so glad you guys have chosen to be here with us and check us out. And we're talking this week. It's almost April Fool's Day, but it's no joke. NC State has hope in the basketball program, the men's basketball program. They and we're going to talk. That you see in the header here. It's been a year ago today that NC State made it to the Final Four. And so we're going to start there, but we have baseball to talk about. We have women's basketball, how they finished their season. Might touch on a few other things here, guys, but
maybe Will Wade's presser. We haven't talked about that.
You said who?
Will Wade's presser, because that happened the day after. Tuesday. So we'll probably get into that a little bit.
Yeah. I was part of me was wondering, like, I'm going to make sure I'm on tonight. So we'll be out here with Greg and Carson, Leighton, and Michael, and all the other folks are gone. Mackenzie too; they're out for the night. But Greg, Carson, how was y'all's weekend? Did you have a good rest of y'all's week from the last show? What's new?
I mean, other than having to hang out with your brother on Saturday, I had a good time.
Well, you did get on TV. Did you get his signature?
No, I need to get his signature. Good Greg weekend down in Durham.
Yeah, my brother was with Greg, and they watched the game and made a few seconds of TV fandom there. So, more Carson, did you have a good week, man?
Yeah, a good week. Went to after Will Wade's presser in Reynolds on Tuesday. They had a meeting greet with a bunch of students, so gotta meet him. He's a cool dude.
Awesome. Well, then let's start with you then. So we talked about Will Wade and his presser. We have not talked about that yet because again, you mentioned that was on Tuesday, and we had the show Monday. So you were there. What was that like?
Were you at the actual presser or just after the presser?
Just after the presser.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said you were there. Well, then start with that then. What was it like being here? What was the students? How are they reacting to him? I saw a little video clip that the basketball team put out, or maybe it was the athletic department put out, that just kind of highlighted some, snapshots of what, the fans and the pictures that Willow was getting and near the statue. But what was the feel out there?
Yeah, right after I got there, there was just this massive line outside Reynolds, pretty much going from the entrance and then going around the statues and then going towards the student entrance, which is parallel to Tally. And Will came out. He had a lot of energy, took pictures with a lot of fans. I mean, he was there for probably like 20 minutes.
Right.
And yeah, it was just really down-to-earth guy as well. I mean, and I like his confidence. The funny thing is, like, right before I got my picture with him, one of the students yelled, "Say Carolina sucks." And Will Wade's like, "I've said too much crap today."
That's funny. Yeah, he said a lot of things at press conference. And, Greg, I don't know what your thoughts were about what he had to say, but it's hard not to like it, in my opinion. As Carson said, very confident. So what are your thoughts, Greg?
Yeah, I thought he was confident, not cocky. I think if, you had introduced him 10 years ago, you probably would have gotten cocky Will Wade. I think he's much more toned down in that regard, but I still think, you still need to have the confidence and a little bit of swagger to be in the industry that you're in. You're trying to sell your program to not only your fans, but then to other, what's the word I'm trying to say? Perspective athletes. So I thought that was good. I thought he said all the right things. I think, he told you who he was, where he's come from, where he's been, things that he's done right, wrong, or indifferent. Just getting ahead of some of the stuff than his previous, employers. So yeah, everyone loves you till you lose that first game. So we'll see what happens, once the season gets going. But he definitely has gotten off on the right foot with Wolfpack Nation. Yeah,
and just to list some quotables that he had there, I thought the headline to me for him was "The Pack is back." The Pack is back, and he wants the rest of the ACC and the country to know that they were back.
Doesn't that give you goosebumps?
It does give you goosebumps. You say that, but I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny because I know people were comparing his press conference to Keats' press conference.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
Kevin Keats is a winner. Honestly, I got fired at when Kevin Keats said that, before, because he had shown he was a winner at UNC Wilmington. To me, for me, a big picture here, State. You mentioned, Greg, that everybody loves it to you lose that first game, but I think with Wade, it feels like State is swinging big here. Like you're not gonna, you might be disappointed if it doesn't pan out, but you're swinging big here, and he's won at every level. So for him to be able to, if he does, say it doesn't pan out, but we haven't said we haven't even had the first game yet.
We don't know the roster looks like yet.
Right. It just feels, I got excited with Keith just like I did with this press conference, but I have the background of Wade to get me more excited going into this off season and heading into November. That I'm not going to be upset if, I don't want to say this too much, but I'm not going to be upset if things don't pan out great for him from like a win-loss standpoint, because State's taking a chance they haven't taken on a coach in a long time. And I can appreciate that.
Carson, what do you think about 6 years? Too long, just right? What do you what's your thoughts?
I think it's just right.
Yeah.
Given his success, I would say it's just right. If he didn't have the success that he had at LSU or McNeese, then I would be questioning it a little bit. But I think this is a good deal.
Yeah, I don't think the contract either has come out on what he is getting.
Not official. Not official. The
Right.
rumor is 6 years and $3 million a year. That's
which is respectable.
Yeah, I think it's really good. One, it shows that you're serious, right, as a program. And then to your point, Carson, giving him, having the confidence in him. It also makes it where if he is successful, it makes it a little bit harder for teams to potentially come in and poach him. Also gives him as in Will Wade the security to kind of get it done. Though if you believe everything you hear, he said this isn't a rebuild, and we'll be in the tournament, and we'll be in the top portion of the ACC come next year. But to your point, Macon, it's like those are some high lofty words, and
I guess
we as fans will not forget if that doesn't happen.
Right. Well, he was like, make sure you get this on camera. Make sure it's on camera. He said it, so he's owned it. People may not know this, but he at McNeese State, when he got hired 2 years ago at McNeese, he went public and say it's going to be the largest. This is going to be the largest turnaround in college basketball.
Yeah,
and it was. He had I can't remember how many wins. It was like upper 20s, 30 some wins he had with McNeese that year. I can't remember the number exactly.
Yeah, I think he only lost 4 conference games in 2 years, something like that.
He called his shot, and he, cashed out on it, and he did. For him, and then I think you made the point of what he said at his press conference for NC State, where he said, "I'm going to get us back into the top half of the ACC, and we're going back to the NCAA tournament next year."
Yep.
That, to me, doesn't seem so unachievable. I think that's something that State can do. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that seems somewhat realistic. I could see that happening next year for State. If he can, in this transfer portal era, if you go and rebuild a team every year, you can go get the right guys with the right coaches, which we'll get into the coaches section of things here in a little bit. But you build that right staff, that team, from the management standpoint, you get the right players, the team there, the players. He gave a lot of credit. You can't win games without good players. I think one quote I remember him saying was, the horse is not the jockey, or the jockey is not the horse. I can be a great coach, but I'm not the horse. And so he has to get those players. The ACC is down right now. Granted, all the other teams could go and rebuild their rosters, and
Virginia, Virginia's got to look there. Miami's got to look there. Those are teams with new coaches. Yeah,
Florida State, and so we're talking about new coaches, teams of new coaches, right? So heck, Louisville's going to rebuild their team a little bit. My point is, I don't think that is unrealistic. I think that's very doable for NC State. State should always be in the top half with their pedigree. They have the program, the resources they have, and I don't view that as like a whoa. Okay, you're not saying top third, top quarter of the ACC. We're making it to the Sweet. So you're not saying things like that. We're getting back to where we should be competitively. And I'm like, I think that's doable. What do you think, Carson?
Yeah, y'all said it. The ACC's really down right now. I mean, other than Duke and Clemson, probably your big powerhouses. Louisville's going to be rebuilding. I mean, other than that, there's not much like real threats in today's ACC. Now we could see that if teams actually advance, teams actually try to take interest in basketball more. I mean, we've seen that, but I mean, historically, the ACC is really good, but a lot of the programs have lost a lot of coaches, Virginia, Miami, Florida State. And so the ACC is in a position where it's a lot of teams are just in this rebuild mentality, and NC State has a chance to take great advantage of it.
Yeah. So I think to that point a little bit there, I saw IPS had a brief podcast they had. I'm just going to give credit to them. I thought it was a really interesting topic that I talked to a few folks about. Is NC State a basketball or football school now? And I think State can do well in both. But to me, the hiring of Will Wade, hearing the tone, the vibe you got from that press conference, knowing what the commitment you had to do to get Will Wade, you mentioned the 6 years, maybe it's $3 million a year. That's actually, I think, a pretty decent number for him and for us, honestly, to get him. I don't know how this isn't maybe viewed as the NC State athletics shifting towards basketball being the focus. I mean, you've proven in Raleigh, you can win national championships. You can make it to the Final Four. We've done that 4 times now, I believe the number is. So you can do that. And with relatively limited resources, what happens if we go all in on it or we really capitalize on that? Not to say we want to invest in football, which obviously people can make a strong argument that State's been a football school for the last 20, 30, 40 years. But, I think it's really interesting how they're seemingly going all in on basketball right now with the hiring, and maybe it's a good time to transition, notes here, but getting the GM from OKC, Andrew Slater, getting Stacy, the assistant GM from Wyoming, a couple of new coaches obviously got to get hired, but
they
don't
hired
Will Wade and the GM if you're not making big investments.
Yeah, they announced a couple guys today. Hall from Nebraska. I think Hall was from Nebraska.
Adam Howard,
that was what it was.
Howard, and then
like Chambers,
Brandon Chambers.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight there, Greg, on those guys?
I think so. I think Chambers came with him from his last stop, McNeese, and then Howard is an assistant. Was an assistant out at Nebraska, but before that, he was the coach of South Alabama, where he was a really good defensive coach. Like, he had his team in the top 20 in defensive efficiency. So you would think that that's going to be his area of expertise. So it's really good, solid hires. From what I understand, there's still one more slot to be filled, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a couple of names floating out there that could be potential there, with Levi Watkins maybe returning. I've heard his name is in the mix for part of that. So you might have a bridge from the old staff to the new staff there. But to your point back about, becoming a quote unquote basketball school, I just think that if that's where NC State is leaning, I definitely think you can do more with less. And what I'll say with that is it only takes $5 to $9 million to probably be successful in college basketball, where football, you're looking at probably double that at minimum to, 20 to 25 million to be really competitive. I just don't think I don't think we have the resources to do that right now, but who's to say that if we don't get really, if we get really successful in basketball, maybe people will come on board and say, hey, well, we're able to do this with basketball. Can we do this with football as well? So I would be definitely interested and curious to see if there's some kind of ripple effect from that, if there's a lot of success to be had on the men's basketball side. But I'm excited. You still, even though you have, rumors of $7 to $9 million to use, one, will you use it all? And two, it's not who you buy, it's what you buy, right? Or buying is the wrong word, but you get where I'm going. Just because you spend $2 million on something doesn't mean it's going to be the best there is.
Smart investments, right?
Right, smart investments, and that's where you have to do, your really good player evaluations, and bring the guys in that fit your system, and then at the rate that you want to bring them in.
Right. And I think one comment, Greg, I'll kind of come back to something you said, just to actually as a correction, slightly. So Adam Howard, was hired. Brandon Chambers was also hired. Those will be two of his main coaches that he has brought on. Obviously, he's brought on, if you don't know now, he brought on Reed Vile from be more of his marketing assistant with the program that he's coming from McNeese State as well. But in the quotes from the press releases for Adam Howard and Brandon Chambers, he actually has Brandon Chambers, Coach Chambers, being noted as being more of a defensive-minded coach.
Interesting.
He was followed. Apparently, he's been with Will Wade for about 15 years. He was with him at VCU. He's with him at McNeese. So it sounds like he is going to be the guy going to focus on the defensive side of things. I'm going to try to pull up the quote here. Make sure I get this right. But it says, well, I can't find it. I'll pull it up in a second. I know Adam Howard, though, to your point, was more of a defensive-minded guy. He was a former coach of South Alabama. But Will Wade has him as a coach, as a quote here, as being more of the offensive guy for the team. He has the quote here is, Adam is a great coach with a proven record of building programs. He's everything you want in an assistant coach, with his ability to recruit, game plan, and develop players. He has an excellent tactical offensive mind and will do a great job on that side of the court for our team. I'm excited to have him, yada, yada, yada. So, and Fred Hoiberg, if I'm not mistaken, was a pretty strong defensive guy when he was, I think he was at Iowa State beforehand. Yes. So it seems that you have two guys who are going to focus on two sides of the ball strategically. You're going to have Chambers on the defensive side, and then you're going to have Howard on the offensive side. Not to say they wouldn't overlap at times and probably bounce off each other, but that is what I'm reading here. I think here's the Brandon quote. Coach Wade on Brandon Chambers. I've known Brandon for 15 years, and he's one of the brightest young coaches in the game. He has the ability to recruit high-level talent and also possess a great ability at teaching the game, especially defensively, which he will specialize here at NC State. So he's already gone on record saying Chambers defense, Howard offense. But I think one thing that's also been interesting here is the noting about recruiting players and developing those players. These two guys have proven that for a long period of time. They're both young guys. And so, to me, I'm really excited about that. I like that Coach Wade has already got a vision or a strategy in how they're going to attack a game plan, so to speak. Carson, do you have any thoughts about Howard or Chambers?
We'll just wait and see.
Okay.
If Wade trusts them, I trust in Will Wade right now. Going off of your point, though, about football school versus basketball school, I think we've seen last year that we've had a lot more success in basketball compared to football, and I think it's much easier to accomplish that. I think from a fan base perspective, they're not going to like being called a basketball school.
Right.
It's
interesting. It's relative.
Yeah.
Like, I think some fans will love it and some fans won't. And I think that kind of comes with the balance or the back and forth NC State athletics have had over the last, 20, 30, 40 years of being better in basketball or better in football. And really most recently, besides the Final Four run, it has been football, having some more success in the basketball program. So
especially in the state of North Carolina, like over the past decade or so. I think from a fan support standpoint, we are in everything school because everything's going to get support no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of basketball schools, like people like schools that are proud of being basketball schools, I think of UCLA, Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, UConn. Those schools do not have very high attendance in football.
Right, especially UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been there, Greg. You know. So,
A couple times.
but yeah, I'm excited about it. I think really. I mean, like we're kind of not. I think it's emotional selling it short. Excuse me, but getting Will Wade at NC State is huge for the program, and everybody I thought also has made it as a home run, A+ hire for the program. I have not heard any bad publicity really of us cutting Keats and letting him go. I think to kind of put a bow on this topic, Boo Corrigan deserves a ton of credit. Everything him and Randy Woodson have done to make all of this happen, we could be looking back on later with a lot of gratitude. And honestly, we should now, but it'll be really interesting in the next, 6 years, because that's what his contract is, to see what has become of Will Wade and NC State athletics. So I'll leave it at that. Other than to say, for those keeping track, the current roster, I believe, is Paul McNeil. It is Trey Parker, and
Ishmael.
it is Ishmael Diouf.
Yeah.
And that's it. Am I missing somebody?
Zamika.
That's
So
that's it.
There's the freshman next year. So
Yeah.
that's technically 4.
Yeah.
Bro,
Wilkins.
RJ Greer decommitted, I think.
Yeah.
No, there's
So,
Wilkins.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Mikey Wilkins.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair. So there's 4 guys right now. We'll see what happens with the current guys on the roster, because Micah Williams has not made the campus obviously yet, but a lot of room and opportunity to sell to recruits. And you probably following on the Twitter sphere or X sphere, whatever you want to call it now, or social media, all the other media sites for state. A lot of interest going around with you guys and the transfer portal now. So we will move on from there. But just to touch on what the headline is, can you believe it's been a year since the Final Four?
I know.
I mean, Texas Tech. Was it Texas Tech? It was Marquette,
Oakland.
Duke,
Nope.
Oakland. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Texas Tech, Oakland, Marquette, Duke.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that whole run. I still want to sit down at some point and watch all 9 games again. That was the closest thing, for me hearing, my dad and others talk about the 83 run. Probably the closest thing I'll ever come to experiencing that. And I was just really grateful that we could experience that. It was so special for state. I saw someone make a comment that, it's kind of haha, but did DJ Burns is the reason we got Will Wade. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it was like having that run, having belief that we could win here at NC State and showing that we did it instead of just talk about it from, 40 years ago. I thought was huge for the program. And I don't think that's why, but it definitely.
Well, if it weren't for DJ Burns, Keys would have been fired too early.
Yeah. And there's a if you could take it from that perspective, which is definitely true, but then you can take it from this perspective where, a lot of coaches would say, well, I'm not going to go to NC State. You haven't won anything. You can't win anything. And so because we did make it to the Final Four, now, hey, we have won an ACC championship. We have been to a Final Four. So you've shown you can win at NC State. So that argument's out the window. So now you can potentially attract higher tier coaches.
There's belief now. There's belief.
Yeah.
I've seen it in modern history. I've seen it happen.
Yeah. So you can say that in twofold for DJ Burns, right?
Right. He might be the most important player in the last, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years. He's on that list, top 5.
I think he is probably the most important player. That we kind of talked about this the other week. I think you were on that episode, weren't you? Or was it
maybe?
I think it was just Leighton and Michael. There was one of the burners that ranked the top 10 players.
I was on that episode, on that show.
Yeah. So,
but anyway,
I think you can. I think But I just remember that run and being in Dallas, and just the vibe was just amazing.
Unforgettable.
Just seeing like all these NC State players, former players there at the games, especially when we made it to the Final Four, just seeing all the faces like like AJ Cole, Terry Gannon. Remember we were in the restaurant.
Cole, not even basketball, football.
I know.
Man.
Right. Just people that wanted to be there to experience it. Remember we were in the restaurant and David Thompson walks in when we were watching the women's Final Four.
Yeah.
Terry Gannon, Tommy Burleson, Chris Corciani,
Right.
I think there's more. I just can't remember them all, but it was a time to be alive. I tell you that much.
Yeah, it was awesome. That experience in Phoenix, me and my wife Lindsay, we still say that was the best vacation we've ever been on, trip we've ever been on. Because we made it out of about Grand Canyon and that, but the whole experience was amazing. So I'll leave it at that. Unforgettable. Still have my I don't know if I've worn this maybe a couple times, but I still have the AC championship hat. I'm not probably gonna wear it, and I've got my Final Four hat somewhere.
I have my confetti from Dallas when we made the Final Four. I have the ACC confetti and the Dallas confetti.
Yeah. That confetti is going to be as a keeper, man.
Yeah.
But move on from there. We had the women's team. And by the way, guys, if you guys have any opinions of it's a basketball or football school, I'd be curious on your thoughts on that too in the comments, because that's, I think, an interesting thought right now, discussion of where the fan base views this. So from a basketball. Yeah, go ahead, Carson.
From a fan base perspective, NC State will forever be the football school of North Carolina.
Yeah, well, I think it's also part of that, but I just think because you've dominated for decades now in football compared to them, although there was a few moments where UNC had some moments, but it's just there's Final Four banners hanging inside Lenovo Center, and one of them happened last year, so I think it's really interesting. But women's basketball made it to the Sweet 16. I think if you were looking at it at the beginning of the season, and I think we talked about it, I believe we said Elite Eight was what we were shooting for this season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was the bar.
But that was my bar.
Right. For me, having a Sweet 16 is another banner. You basically brought most of the same team back. Your stars you brought back. I'm not even going to start with Madison Hayes, Isaiah James, Sanaya Rivers, Zoe Brooks stepped up huge, most improved player this season. It's a success in so many ways this season. What they did, you were the 2 seed. You lost respectively to the reigning national champion LSU. But in some ways, I also feel like it was disappointment in how it ended. I mean, going to the Sweet 16 and losing there, and we had a chance to take that win, and we didn't. Greg, talk to me about your thoughts with how that game played out against LSU. Score was 80-73 LSU.
Really closer than that. Just some free throws at the end kind of made the final margin the what it was. But LSU, I almost said Louisville. LSU closed it. I don't think we scored in the final 2.5 minutes of the game. At one point there, we had a 3 or 4 point lead. I was only pretty much able to watch the second half just because of the way baseball worked out on Friday night. But I know we were up at the half. I don't I know Madison was in some foul trouble at times, so I think that kind of hurt. And I'm assuming both of you guys watched the game fully.
Yeah,
I watched most of the game, I would say.
Yeah. Apparently Trigger wasn't effective at all, and I don't know why she wasn't.
She seemed to be playing a little soft, honestly, to me.
Yeah,
that was my opinion, but
just got ate up in the paint. Too many low post points for them. Rebounds were an issue. All year on the defensive side. The offensive side doesn't really surprise me. Coach Moore really coaches, get back on defense, so he doesn't really put as much of an emphasis on offensive rebounding. But just getting eaten up on second chance points in the paint. Just didn't have an answer there, and I think that was really the difference. Isaiah didn't probably have
points in the paint. 42 points for LSU compared to our 22. Yeah, 7 blocks compared to our 3. So
that one girl had over 30 points that the down in the post. So we just didn't have an answer for that, and just couldn't make shots. Zoe carried the team in the fourth quarter, but I also thought she tried to do a little too much at times. But again, if she's really the only offense, it's kind of a double-edged sword there. Someone had to kind of put the team on their back. But all in all, really good season. If Whitmer, it plays this year, who knows how that looks down low. But then you don't have Trigger, getting developed as much as she did. So that bodes well for the future. Just really sad that it's James's and Rivers and Hayes's last games in NC State uniforms, and that's what's sad. I think you're proud of everything, but you won't see those three women, and they've been a hell of a trio. Probably, if not the most important trio, probably the second most important trio in NC State women's basketball history.
Yeah, customer thoughts.
Yeah, just overall in the season, I remember right before the season started, and I saw that Weimar was gonna miss a lot of time, potentially the full season, and I just thought to myself, oh no, if they don't get this figured out, it's gonna be a rough season. And I feel like as soon as Tilda Trieger got the opportunity to start in like December, I feel like that's when we really started the roll.
Yeah, I mean, she did. I mean, I know very well. I know she played. I thought she made to play soft. Let me go check out her stats from the game.
They were a little soft.
Yeah, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. I mean, that's not getting it done in the post. You mentioned Brooks, James, and Zamaria Jones actually 13 points. Were your leading scorers. Sanaya had 9 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. That'll play. But, I just didn't think it was enough. I will say for me, late in the game, I had a problem with the shots that Maddie Cox took. I had a problem with it. I don't think that was the right choice. I don't necessarily think that's what Coach Moore would have drawn up either. I know at one point he tried to get I think Maddie Cox had maybe it's not 2 shots. I know she had a 3 she took that seemed rushed. And there was one time she had a moving screen. I felt like late as I know it's a team loss. Felt like some of the plays she made cost us the game late there a little bit. But the team had opportunities to cash in, and they didn't as a whole. So I don't want to put anything on her, but I did not like Maddie Cox's play in there. I just thought, I think positively, I thought Zamaria Jones, when she came in, she was a spark for the team. I think a little bit there she just could not miss when she came in.
I think she had like an 11-0 run as a player.
Yeah, by herself.
Not as a team, as a player.
Right. She came in. It was just what they needed because I don't think Zoe Brooks had been playing well to that point in the game. They needed something different. So I like that. Don't know. Obviously, the off season is totally different, but you lose a lot of those players. You lose Sanaya, you lose Madison Hayes, you lose Isaiah James. Your 3 best players on your team, honestly, besides Zoe Brooks. And who's to say Zoe may or may not come back? I have no idea. I don't know what to expect there because at this day and age, the transfer portal is so weird. But
not knowing anything, some of these girls would not surprise me if they transfer. Lacey Steele is already in the transfer portal that was announced a few hours ago.
Yep. Is that 2 years or 1 year for her?
2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she just never really could get in the rotation. So no surprise there. The Zoe Brooks thing will be an interesting one to watch. You think about it, it's her show now, 100%.
Her team, correct. They build around her.
Yeah, correct. But on the other hand, her girls are gone now, right? And so,
I get it.
Does she feel confident in what the team is bringing in next year, and it's going to be around her that they can make another run, right? Like, what's her priorities? She's from up in New Jersey. Is a school up in the Northeast maybe interested in grabbing her?
Let's face it, it's going to be a rebuild for NC State.
I think it's going to be. I think to some degree it will be. I would not be surprised if there's some other names that I don't really want to get into, but there's some names that people know on that roster that probably won't be there next year. I have a gut, and it's just the way it is. Coach Moore works those girls hard. He expects a lot out of them, but he loves them just as much. So he's not necessarily an easy coach to play for, but what you give is what you get back with Coach Moore, and where you stand. And some people don't want to be coached that way, so it wouldn't surprise me. But if everyone comes back and you go out and get a couple pieces, you could be right there next year. There's some big names already in the portal. One is
they're going to need guards. They're going to need guards. I mean, unless you can just commit to Zamaria Jones and Devin Quigley, you can get them invested there.
Quigley's shown some flashes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, not spectacular, but like things that have been, she's had. I don't think she had one double-digit game against Boston College. It looks like she had two. Let's see who's this team. Coastal Carolina, she had 20, and then that was back in November. And Boston College, in beginning of January, she had 11. But she wasn't asked to do that because you had the other girls there. So it feels like it would be.
Yeah, but was she playing less than 15 minutes? I would say she was playing 10 minutes a night, 11 minutes a night. Do you have that in front of you?
Devin.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
I would be shocked if it's more than 12 minutes.
I don't have an average here.
I think it was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I was thinking it was around 10.
Yeah, I don't have an average here.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well,
again, she was just spelling people. She was spelling one of the three guards at any given moment. Michelle says we need another big.
They're gonna need a lot of things, honestly.
Yeah, I mean
that 3 to 4, that 3 to 5 spot, honestly, to me, maybe even a 2 is going to be really that 3 to 4 is where I think it's going to be really critical.
As people, I love Collier and Cox. I just don't know how much more you're going to get out of them. Trigger still, I think she still has more to give you. Again, because she'll only be going in year 2, whereas the other 2 will be going into year 3.
Player.
Yeah, she needs to get stronger.
European.
Yeah, she needs to get stronger. There's no doubt. You probably need at least 2 to 3 guards still. If nothing more, just depth.
I mean,
pieces. Go ahead, Carson.
Best case scenario, you have 3 guards returning next year in Jones, Quigley, and Brooks, and then I think we have 1 or 2 freshmen coming in, but they're freshmen. So
you got a good. Adelaide is going to be good, but she's a freshman.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's going to be like 6 incoming players. Honestly.
Yeah, with Wes's 4-out win in offense, I mean, he's going to want guards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the 4-out 1 in to me puts an emphasis on that 5 to some degree. Like your guards have to be great, but getting a really good 5 is key because our ceiling was only about it. It was limited by that 5 play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't that Tilda was bad. It wasn't that Maddie was bad or anything. It was just they weren't what we've had in the past that put us to the and we still were a 2 seed, right? So I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's just we've seen it. We can be better there. So
I think if you get the Maddie Cox that you got on Friday night, you're going to be good. Like if that's going to be her like steady, like that's what she's going to give you every night. You just haven't seen that there, and I don't know what it is that hasn't quite clicked for her. But next year's year 3, and if she stays around, you're going to need that production from her, and then you're going to need Collier to kind of give you some minutes. But the big one I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do as a Woo. I think she's got a lot of upside. She just needs to become more of a finesse player. Like she's a bulldog. Right now, she kind of only creates her own shots off of rebounds. You can't really run an offense through her right now. But if you can get that from her, like that's a big get. Right.
The coaches are going to have to really earn their keep this offseason, developing the players to where they need to next season. Because, I mean, I don't know what to expect just yet. Let's just give them time to get the portal. They just had their game. What was it?
Friday.
So, but I think to my point was, as successful as they were, it still feels like a disappointment to me this season. No ACC championship. And they got to switch the thing. It will still be a banner, but I just thought this team could do so much more than they did. I thought if they got Elite 8, I would have felt satisfied. I feel like wanting more at this point for them, but that's not to disrupt their legacy. They've left the state because they had a Final Four, Sweet 16, ACC titles, like
undefeated at home this year.
You said what?
Undefeated at home this year.
Yeah, exactly. So. We'll see what they do in the offseason. They've got a transfer portal just as much as the men's team does. So we'll see how that goes. But we are going to transition now, pacing ourselves pretty good here, actually, to baseball. So we had a series this weekend at the brand new Duke baseball field facility.
It's not brand new. It's not.
I thought it was brand new.
No. It's been around for a while.
Well, then. you can hit me.
No,
But
no.
NC State played Duke.
Yeah.
And lost the series to Duke. Won game 2, but dropped game 1 and 3. Really seemed like a back and forth kind of series. I think the game 1 was like 5-1 Duke.
Yeah.
Game 2 was like 14 to something, and game 3 was like 16 to something back the other way. So, what did you think, Greg? I think you were there for all the games.
All the games. Yeah. Friday night just couldn't get any bats going. I thought Dominic Fritton pitched pretty good. Ben Miller, who's an all ACC player, took him yard twice. So, you got to tip your hat, both on 2 strikes, which was a little frustrating. But just couldn't get a run. I don't think we didn't scratch a run until like the 8th inning. I think maybe 9th inning.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually the 9th now that I remember it. So we did avoid the shutout. Just a decent game. We only got 4 hits. They had 9. The 5 runs, like I said, 2 of them were off home runs. So yeah, that was Friday. Saturday, the bats came alive, which again just makes baseball a really weird sport where you only get 4 hits the night before, and then you get like 14 hits the next game. So that's baseball. It's baseball.
They were. I'm looking back at the game 2 where you're talking about, Greg.
Yeah,
relatively even scoring, although they had 8 runs in 2 innings for game 2. The second inning and the 4th inning, the 8th inning, were 8 runs to them combined. They scored every inning, starting at the 5th inning, going on. Really bad to come alive.
Heath Andrews pitched pretty well. The guys like DeCrisio had a heck of a day. He had a really good weekend as a whole too. He had 2 doubles and a home run on Saturday, and then Ryan Jaros, who was inserted into the lineup on Saturday and Sunday, got a home run each day. So that's something that you're kind of looking for, is some maybe some additional power. The ball was carrying on Sunday really well, so we had a couple of home runs there. We hit back-to-back home runs on Saturday with I believe it was DeCrisio and Sosa hit the home runs. And then Sunday, Marone battled. He's dealing with a little something right now. So, just for him to, take the ball and go try to give it a go, I think is admirable. Just fell apart. We had 3 errors on Sunday. Just giving away too many outs, gave away too many bases, freebies with walks. I don't even know what we had for walks on Sunday. Maybe you can pull it up real quick, but it just felt like a lot. Hit some batters.
That was who again?
Yeah, how many walks did we issue on Sunday?
Sunday's game. I think I have this one here.
Let me see. I can probably.
We gave up walks, 2 walks to Duke's 7.
Right. We walked 7 guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Too many walks. Like I said, we had a couple of batters. We had the 3 errors, which led to some runs. We had a wild pitch that led to a run. So yeah, just a recipe that you just can't have. Pitching needs to be better. Yeah. So
Michelle mentioned here errors. You know, it's a lot of errors there.
Yeah, there was 3 errors on Sunday for us. One leading directly to a run, and actually 2 delivered runs. So you just can't beat yourself, especially when you're playing ACC opponents where the opponents are much better. You can get away with some of that stuff early season, non-conference. But yeah, you just got to pitch better. Some of these guys, you've seen a resurgence with Duden over the last couple of outings. He's been pitching much better than his stats may not look as pretty still because his first couple were rough, but he's been very good. D-Rock came in yesterday, really late cleanup, but he struggled, walked a few, and then hit somebody. That's what ended the game. So I know he was dealing with some stuff. I don't know if that's still the thing. Just need a little more consistent in the hitting area, I think. And then we've been really good in the field. I feel like this has been one of our first and maybe only multi-error games. Usually been playing pretty clean. But yeah, that's all I got there. Carson, did you watch any of them, and do you have anything?
I did not watch him live. I watched the highlights, and yeah, the pitching has been very inconsistent this season. I mean, coming in, that was something that we were really riding on, and it's just it's not been what we imagined it could be so far. It could definitely improve, but we're already 3 series in the ACC play.
Yeah.
So
I think starting pitching's been pretty good. It's
mainly the closing, especially in that like the big red flag for me was that Liberty game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was before Duden kind of figured some stuff out. His slider is up about 2 or 3 miles an hour, so he's got a better feel for that. And I think he's got some good confidence. Like I said, he's been pitching a lot better. But you're right, that Liberty game was a little rough. I think just figuring out roles is the big thing for me. Is like, okay, who's coming in what situation when you're talking pitching. We've had guys all over the place. We really haven't carved out niches. I thought Nance threw really well on Saturday. I think he threw 4 innings. Probably his best outing as a Wolfpack. Again, he threw really well. Again, Fritton didn't throw bad. He threw a couple of bad pitches, and they made him pay. And that's what good baseball players do. They make you pay for your mistakes. But again, like I said, Marone's kind of dealing with some stuff. But he's been pretty solid up until the last 2 starts. And again, he's been dealing with this thing for the last 2 games. For me, it's just consistency. That's what it boils down to: is consistency hitting, consistency pitching, and finding roles for these guys. There's talent. It just needs to be consistent. The lineup is kind of all over the place still. Again, you got a couple guys dealing with some things. So that's kind of caused a shuffle in the lineup. But I thought last year when we were at our best, people had roles. The lineup was figured out. Those things just haven't been worked out yet. And I think look, there's still plenty of time. You're only 3 series into this. You've got another 4 or 5 series to go.
And you're 2-1 in ACC series.
Yeah.
You're just record. You're 18-10 on the season as a whole.
I know that upstate game last week shook some heads. You know, that was a head scratcher for folks because we got run ruled by them. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're 14. I think everyone said that the GoPack.com advertises they're 13-4 at home. So you got the UVA series coming up this weekend at home.
UVA was preseason number 2, and they're unranked right now.
Yep.
Right. You got Louisville at home coming up. That's with the series between you got UNCG and ECU mixed in there between. Then they got to go and do some other games on the Cal on the road. But there's some winnable series with the tracker we've had this season. You've got 2 home ACC series. You can get right with those 2 series, and we'll see how that works out there. But I have not gone to – go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you have guys that are performing really well on the team. Like, again, McHugh had a little bit of a rough weekend, though he had a couple of hits. But he's the one that's kind of been carrying us a lot offensively. But, again, now you're starting to see Jaros, and I think you'll see him more. I think Hogue has done a pretty good job. You've seen some things with Sosa. He hit a home run over the weekend. Right. Frosman, he had a home run yesterday.
Didn't Havner have a home run?
I think Havner had a home run this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So you're seeing some things there. Again, guys can hit. It's Ty Head has been on base a ton walking, and he's starting to show some more once he's getting good pitches to hit. There's guys in this lineup. Is it last year's lineup? No, but I think at times we've done a really nice job of creating and manufacturing our own runs, and that was some of the things that Duke did against us yesterday. There was an instance where they had a bloop single, a stolen base, a bunt first hit, and then a single, and then you have runs scored. Those are things that we have been doing, but we didn't do, and we didn't hold on runners yesterday, and so they were able to do a double steal, and then a base hit brings both of those in. So little things yesterday really bit us in the butt. But again, those are things you can clean up. You can clean up some of the errors. You just got to tighten up and play better baseball. That's what it boils down to.
Right. Yeah, and I'm kind of looking here at some of the stats too. It was team stats. You had 3 errors, which you mentioned earlier, but we had I think Kopac's got this backflipped. Huh. Never mind. I think GoPack.com has his backflip. They said that they had earned runs 11 for NC State. It's not right. So,
Mm.
anyways, yeah, State's got my whole point was bad weekend, good potential there, still figuring things out. That kind of happens sometimes when you have rosters year to year. You're rebuilding all the time now, so some teams take longer than others to figure it out. State has shown that they can get it figured out going into further into the spring. They're 2-1 in ACC series. It's not like this is gloom and doom, but lots of room for improvement as well.
Like you said, you have UNC. You have UNC
coming up.
coming in. We 10-run ruled them out in Greensboro about a month ago. So and then Carson said you have a kind of a down UVA team. Now there's still a lot of talent. You know, you're going to go have them and play well, and that's not going to be a gimme. But that's a series where you maybe at the beginning of the season goes, okay, on paper they're probably going to win that series, but now you're like, well, no, like you're at home. I think you have just as much ability to beat them as they beat you, and so go out and make it happen. But you got to get these series. I mean, because now now you're starting to see some of the talent that you're kind of equal to, and so these are things that a committee is going to look at when it comes time to talk about hosting regionals. And Duke was kind of one of those squads, and so you lost your series to them. So you're going to need to go get some series wins against quality opponents, especially if you're going to be in the mix to host a regional.
That Clemson series later on is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
Miami, UNC, Stanford, all those series are.
Yeah, Miami's down. Like Miami's not really that good. So but again, it's on the road. Cal's a beatable team. Carolina's probably the really good team. Carson just mentioned Clemson. Stanford's pretty good. So you're right now, if things break the way that I just said, you're going to split those. Louisville, you should be able to beat them. They're about on par with you talent wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think you could go win four more series, maybe 5. But all these
Louisville's 18 right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of opportunity coming up for the Wolfpack in the baseball field, but I think just to recap, their next game is going to be UNCG
tomorrow.
UNCG tomorrow night, and then the Virginia series in Raleigh this weekend. So if you got it, weather, just kind of chill and check here. I don't think it's going to look too bad in Raleigh.
I hear you guys are getting rain there right now.
Is it? Okay.
No, I mean like right now, like in North
Carolina.
Right
now.
Oh yeah, it is. It was storming about an hour ago.
Yeah, it rained over here. I'm in High Point, so it rained here a few hours ago. But this weekend, Sunday looks like rain, but Friday 88, partly cloudy, a little breeze. Saturday 86, partly cloudy, a little bit of breeze. So it will be hot, but it'll hey man, it's getting closer to summer. So.
Man, it's barely April, dude. Like give us till May to get that weather.
Yeah, and I will say the game probably to go to would be that Friday game. I mean, like you're going to have an evening game.
6 o'clock.
Enjoy that, a little cool down on the lights, but good series to go see. UVA is a proud baseball program there, so
I'm just thankful that pollen will be washed off the seats by then. That pollen was crazy.
You never know, man. It might be 2-3 days later. It's all back. So
that's true.
It is the land of the pines, right, North Carolina. So
5 minutes left. Softball plays UNCG this week as well. They play them in Greensboro on Wednesday.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've noticed over the years that a lot of times the athletic programs seem to play a lot of the other schools' sports. Not all the time, but they seem to kind of fall around the same time you might be playing them kind of thing. So, So UNCG softball as well. Playing against them.
Another interesting thing. So baseball plays Virginia at home, and then softball plays at home against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's actually good. They're ranked 14th right now.
I'd prefer the Hokies over the Cavaliers any day. So
I think a lot of people would feel that way.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, UVA is the Carolina of Virginia. So
man, I'm gonna tell you what. I used to live in Blacksburg for a couple of years before I met my wife. You guys never been up to Blacksburg? You should go. Beautiful area. It's great up in the particularly summertime, but springtime, fall, it's beautiful up there. Anyways, 5 minutes left. Football related notes. Haven't really heard a lot lately. It's just springtime. Saw Phillip Rivers at a recent spring practice.
He was working the refs.
Right. Yeah, I heard his son Gunner was there, so that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I think I heard that Gunner actually was playing with the team.
Committed? No, I'm kidding.
I wish. No, they were there. I saw them there. I was at the practice on Friday. Won't really. I don't think we're probably allowed to talk much about it, but yeah, Philip was there. He was on the sideline talking to Thunder for a little bit.
I saw a picture that circled around on social media.
Yeah, how did that get? I shared it with a couple of people, and then next thing you know, it's gone viral on some sites. But I saw it on Facebook today from another group. I'm like, what did this come from? But just some things that I saw that's really not giving anything away. I loved Hollywood's energy on the sidelines, just cheering his guys up. I thought that was really good to see. Anytime someone put the ball in the end zone, he was the first one off the sideline to go celebrate with them. Really enjoyed that. You can tell CJ looks a little bigger. Still needs to eat a couple more sandwiches, but he's definitely put on a few pounds. Duke Scott has tree trunks for legs. Like, I thought his legs were big before. I know, but they look even more just muscular. Yeah. He did a few nice things that I liked. The defense, you can definitely tell both of the units are a work in progress. Trying to work things out with two new coordinators. So there's going to be some things there that they're working on specifically. But it was a beautiful evening to sit out in Carter Finley and just watch a little football.
Don't they have I know that they canceled their spring game, correct?
They did. A lot of teams have done that that way they're not, people coming in from, scouts from other teams or putting things on tape to watch from an ESPN broadcast. So, that seems to be the industry trend, is to not put those out for public consumption.
But are they having their own version of a spring game? I don't know the answer to that question.
So that was pretty much what they did. All these scrimmages are all the same, pretty much.
It's basically just like an open practice.
Yeah, it was. They did the Friday night thing, just like they had a little kicking competition, and each unit had their kicker out there, and so whoever won the challenge, they'd go 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards. Right. I think they even got like a 60-yarder. So they did things like that to kind of have some competitive juices flowing, if you will. But it was typical. It looked just like what a spring game would have looked like.
Right.
There was some thudding. There was no hitting of the quarterback, obviously. Guys would just give themselves up, but it was fun to watch. Oh wow, Michelle just said Olivia Miles just entered the transfer portal. What is going on?
I thought she was going to go to the draft.
Money.
Yeah. What did you say?
Yeah. She can probably make more money.
You can definitely make more money. Yeah. Well, that's why Fudd came back for UConn. You can definitely make more money in college than you can in the WNBA. Especially as a rookie, because all their contracts are sliding scale as well.
Right.
But that's crazy.
There's not a lot going on. I'm hearing on the football side of things. I think there's still some recruiting stuff going on. The deal is usually when you get into summertime, you start seeing a lot of those high schools that transfers getting commits in by, late spring, early midsummer. So that's for me. I'm a recruiting kind of junkie guy. I love that this time of year. So I'm excited to see how the team's going to continue to build out and who they bring in. But not a whole lot right now in football. It's kind of quiet behind the scenes stuff. So
there'll be another portal here, I think, in a few weeks. Doesn't it start like in late April? I don't really follow the dates that closely.
I just said I was a recruiting junkie.
I did that to set you up, just so you would fail. But
I love seeing the recruits and where they're going and where they're leaving. I don't know necessarily the dates and all that. So
there you go.
But that's all I got, guys. Any other things? Any other sports you want to touch on? I think men's tennis got a big win against Clemson. If I'm not mistaken.
I think they're on like an 8-match win streak or something like that.
Yeah, they are like a number 6 in the country.
Women got 2 top 30 wins, one against Clemson and one against Georgia Tech. So that was nice for them.
We should advocate it again. You guys, I know we mentioned last time, if you guys can go to one of these tennis matches, it's a great sport to go to. I went to the one Friday night. You're going to one, or you did go to one?
No, I went to the one Friday night just for a little bit, or maybe it was Saturday. I can't remember. It was the women's one against Clemson, and I showed up like halfway through singles was over, and it was just good vibes.
Yeah,
good time. Watch some tennis, and yeah, go support them because if you look at the doubles rankings right now, Maddie Zampardo and Gabriella Broadfoot for NC State are ranked number 2 in the country for doubles.
Yep.
In the entire Division 1. So go support them.
Yeah. Yep. I saw Diana Schneider and her doubles won something professionally. They were talking about, but yep, that's what we got. I think tonight, guys. Really basketball heavy tonight and some baseball in there, but we will have a lot more to talk about next week when we get back on Monday night.
Hopefully a series sweep, that would be nice, or at least a minimum was a 4 and what are we 4 and 1 week. That would be ideal,
right?
Or 3 and 1 week. Excuse me, math's hard. It's late.
Well, ideally 4-0, right? So
ideally 4-0, yeah, but I'll take 3 and 1.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, guys. But thank you all for taking the time to join in with us on this show. Be sure to like it and subscribe and share our channel with other state fans. We can build this community up. If you guys don't already, if you guys look into all, One Pack NIL, they are really big into that. People think they have, how can I make a big contribution? Those kinds of things. That's the name of the game now. You want to win, you have to put your money where your mouth is nowadays. And I think that's hard for a lot of people, but even if it's like $5, they've said they can make it work, and they're just grateful for it. So,
NIL is directly investing in the players.
Yeah,
more money. A lot of times, the trend is more wins right now. It's not always the case, but the trend is invest more money where you want to win. So
yeah. And if I could just piggyback off that, that's how I got invited to the scrimmage on Friday night through Savage Wolves One Pack.
See, great opportunities come with it too if you get a chance. So,
yep.
Not all of us have millions of dollars for donating like Greg, so it's just
not millions of dollars, bro.
Not kidding. Yeah. But yeah, be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Check out One Pack NIL. Share the channel. We would love to continue to grow this. Appreciate everybody who hopped on the comments. And it's just really, really good seeing Chilton, Jarrett Chilton, and the Preacher Man, and Michelle, and honestly getting to see you guys, Carson and Greg, tonight. And we will talk to you guys later. And as always, go Pack.